competitive games, but because I don't really do like competitive online much anymore, I really like a good controller. You know, I think the Xbox 360 controller is my favorite.
Yeah, I like that they do their Elite Pro or whatever that you can use with your PC, and it's really nice and durable, comfortable.
Well, we should talk about this live.
We're live.
We are live?
Oh yeah, dude, we're hot and ready.
Oh, sweet.
Fresh out the kitchen, daddy.
Well, shit. Okay, what is your favorite controller?
Well, okay, so here's the deal: is I had a PlayStation 2 for a long time, and so I was for a long time really used to the DualShock topology, and then I also had an Xbox 360, and they're really not that different. They're not different enough for me to get upset over one or the other. And then when COVID started, my in-laws had this extra PlayStation 3, and so I've been playing Apex Legends on it, and I prefer playing Apex Legends on my PC because it's outfitted better for it, but it's sometimes if I'm streaming Apex Legends and I come out of a lobby, it'll crash my stream, like the network thing, and it may be figured out by now with, you know, because I try to keep my graphics card up to date on its drivers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so I got used to that. So my go-to right now is a DualShock 3. No, 4, right? I grew up playing PlayStation 2 after Nintendo 64, and then my wife had a 3, and I played some of that. And then, no, this is a PlayStation 4. We're up to the 5 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 5 is the most contemporary. If I was going to go out, though, and buy a controller for playing controller on my PC, I'd buy the latest Xbox One, probably.
Yeah.
I played a lot of Halo 2 back in the day, and so I really like it's just natural. It's just everything's where it's supposed to be. The Nintendo controllers, like I have the Pro controller for my Switch.
Yeah.
But like where, you know, your right thumb buttons are, like it would be like triangle, square, or like X, Y, and A, B or whatever. Just my instinct on those, it's flipped on Nintendo. Like the positive affirmation button is the opposite that you would think it would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, I'm living with that. Barry, do you want to start the show?
Yeah.
Guys, welcome back to Jacob V Weekly, first show of the new year, January 7th. Not so bad. Not as long as I thought we'd go. 2022. We want to start the show by inviting you to check out Caddyshack of New Hamel, Illinois. Caddyshack IL on Facebook. Totally nonprofit cat rescue, family owned and lovingly operated. They have calendars for the new year. They're sending me one. I'll be sure to show you that as soon as it shows up. And that's the only third party we try to promote on this show, at least thus far, until I hear back from Lion's Choice.
Lion's Choice.
If you want to support the show directly, you can check us out on patreon.com/JacobV, JACOBVI, and we post all sorts of extra stuff there. We had a lot of really exciting posts at the end of last year. We just launched Patreon in August. We've been getting new followers every week, and we don't have any merch or anything yet. It'll be announced there first. Pre-order will go live on Patreon first as we have merch launching, and I've been learning about that process, so hang tight. It's coming. I haven't forgotten about you. And patreon.com, it's $4 a month is the entry level. And for that, you get access to our entire archive of different types of either exclusive releases, previews, or lossless quality access to all my lossless quality audio from all of the Jacob V and Too Deep and Momser releases from over the years. I was just at practice with Blinded by Stereo. We have a new full-length album, Tape, available anywhere you buy music digitally, and that vinyl pressing is forthcoming. Supply chain is fucked up. And Billie Eilish wants 13 different colors of her latest record. So printing is taking a long time, but stay tuned for that. It's on. That's seriously the problem is Bo Burnham wants a yellow vinyl at Target and a black one everywhere else. And Adele wants 5 different versions. Each store has a different version of Adele's latest record, and it's messing up the vinyl pressing because it's a good gift. If you know your daughter likes Adele's, like, fuck it, get her the vinyl. It's $30. Everyone loves it.
Yeah.
And for diehard fans, they probably buy all of them. And And so that's part of the thing is, sell them multiple copies of the same record. It's ingenious, but we just haven't adjusted. The market hasn't corrected yet. So Blinded by Stereo, Spotify, Apple Music. Also, my new band, No Antics, has a new single just dropped on New Year's Day called Withdrawals. That's no space. Antics. Withdrawals is the new song. There's going to be like a new song every month from them for the first half of this year. Videos are coming. Merchandise is coming. Our first show was supposed to be on my birthday in a week from now, but with COVID and everything, that may be getting rescheduled. I'm almost certain that one is getting moved. So stay tuned. It's the name of the game. That's why I wanted to do a podcast, because everything I was supposed to be doing this weekend is kind of getting shuffled around. Barry, do you have any material you're promoting right now? I know we're working on some things.
Not actually yet. So I actually just sat down the other day and really worked out a plan. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I really need like art to like pair with the songs I'm making, don't I? So I have a logo in the works.
Well, I'll let everyone know. You can find Ground Control, a band that I joined that Barry had been in for a long time. There is some really great material out there from Ground Control. I think Mars was the last EP, or was that a full-length album?
It's like 30 minutes. So
okay,
probably not.
Yeah, so it's somewhere in between. It's an LP light, we'll call it. It's a maxi single, brother.
It's a rock
But Mars by Ground Control, really great quality. I love a lot of those songs and riffs, and some of the vocal performances are really great. So if you want to check out what Barry's up to, I would go start there, and then that'll lead you to where we're going. Favorite songs. I make these in the McDonald's drive-thru. Every month we have Jacob V's favorite songs on Spotify. It's a monthly playlist. It's really good this month so far. Got a head start. We got some fucking jams on that one. And I think that's all the plugs we have. Patreon, Caddyshack, No Antics, Blinded by Stereo, favorite songs on Spotify. Wow. I was talking to a good friend of the show and my dear sweet cousin. She goes by Animated Geek on Instagram, and I was talking to her about the idea of doing an NFT, and I thought this would be a great conversation to start the show with, because she raised some really good points that I had not yet considered and that I would love to sort of work out emotionally. Barry, what do you know about NFTs?
I know that it means non-fungible token.
And what that means for the layperson, right? Because I got this question a lot today. An NFT is indeed a digital image that is bought and sold on a blockchain, like a blockchain being, the crypto space, where you might find Ethereum or Bitcoin or Doge. Right. So that's all on a blockchain. And one thing that I've learned about the blockchain is each Bitcoin transaction, for example, is documented in an encrypted code that basically identifies a Bitcoin transaction at a moment in time. And, that's the data that's living protected in the blockchain space. And so an NFT, what you do is you take a digital image that you've created. It could be a digital picture of myself, or it could be something much more elaborate, right? And I read a great article about Paris Hilton's Ethereum Queen piece that she sold recently, and that's kind of how I learned about some of this stuff. So what I would do if I wanted to sell an NFT, say we wanted to sell something from the show, from Jacob V Weekly as an NFT, I would take a digital image and I would mint it in Ethereum, meaning I would pay a fee to enter that digital image into the Ethereum blockchain, and then that transaction would live on the blockchain as a non-fungible, non-forgeable, item in that space. Right. So it's like if I sell a real fucking Mona Lisa, there's only one of those, and experts can really look at it and look at, is it correct to the period? Is everything the way it's known to be? And so it's the same idea, but it's happening in this secure blockchain space. Right. So go ahead.
I just don't understand why some of these NFTs are becoming so valuable.
Because they're a document of the beginning of this new medium. It's like, if you had one of the first, it's like, okay, We just talked about the Nintendo Switch. I bought the Nintendo Switch to play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. When they launched the Nintendo Switch, they were having such trouble keeping up with the manufacturing for the demand that they actually sold more copies of that game than there were at the time Nintendo Switches in existence.
Wow.
So they say they made 1 million Nintendo Switches. They sold like 1.1 million copies of Breath of the Wild. So like 100,000 kids got 2 copies that Christmas.
Whoa.
And why were we talking about that?
NFTs.
But why? What did you just say?
I said, why are they so valuable?
Oh, so it's like the first time a thing happens, you're
Right.
going to remember certain pieces of evidence of that. Like when I think about DVDs, I always think about The Matrix because that was one of the first movies I owned on DVD. Right? It was one of the first movies that was right in that time where, you know, you wanted the better picture quality because of all the crazy camera work. And it was just at a time where DVDs had been around for a couple of years, but they were just really becoming commonplace in people's homes. Right? I heard somebody the other day saying they saw Jaws on Betamax because that was just the timing. They had that option at that time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, and CDs, I can think of the same way. Some of the first CDs I bought were very specific to that era. And so I think when you look at like the silly monkeys that are being sold as NFTs, these little doodles of monkeys this guy does, I don't know that people are just so in love with those monkeys as much as, oh, this is a recognizable symbol of this new medium, this new art form.
Very interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, the Les Paul is a model of a guitar that is sort of synonymous with the electric guitar because as the electric guitar was getting popular, that was one of the most iconic examples of an electric guitar. Not because it was just a great guitar, though. I mean, a lot of people like those. You have a pretty cool one. I like the gold hardware on yours. Yeah. Not just because it was a nice guitar. There were other nice guitars being made, but it was a nice guitar being used by the right people at the right time.
Slash.
So if you think, oh, this is I mean, you know, and they were saying Bitcoin was never going to hit 60,000 and now it kind of hovers in between 50 and 60 kind of regularly. And they're talking about it going to 500,000. But when Bitcoin was worth $800 a piece, nobody thought that. Right. That's why it was only $800 a piece. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's the same thing as that, like, oh, it's like buying a house. You know what I mean? Most of the value of my nest egg over the course of my career or whatever you want to call it is the equity in my house. That's where I put a lot of it because I know that as long as I don't mess it up and something terrible doesn't happen in the neighborhood, that it's going to grow in value, right? Especially in this market that we're in. And it already has. There's already been some marginal growth in my home value. So if I buy a painting for $1 million, you may think, oh my God, who would ever pay $1 million for a painting? How are you ever going to be able to get that back? And then you look and a couple years later, it's growing in that value. Right. And so I think that's the attraction of NFTs is they're like, okay, people are really into crypto. They want a decentralized financial instrument. And one of the ways that we can interact with and grow the crypto infrastructure is artwork. And, you know, I know that this NFT is one of a kind because of the data that is documented from the transaction that is encrypted and so you could share a picture of the NFT, right? But that's not the product itself. Like I can look up a really beautiful scan or iPhone picture or whatever of the Mona Lisa, but I'm not selling that picture for the same price as I would the product itself.
Right.
And so it's easier for people to picture that in a physical space, but the blockchain is just an extension of the deepening of the digital world. And so I understand that it sounds like ridiculous that someone would spend millions of dollars on a piece of art that I could just take a screenshot of, but that's not the whole product. The whole product is this is the original product minted into this blockchain, and it's a part of this financial infrastructure.
It's so... I just imagine trying to explain this to somebody like even 50 years ago. Like It would be
Or
such-
this afternoon, I tried to explain it to my mom and my aunts at Bluewood Brewing. Shout out Bluewood. And they had gone to see my brother at work, and I was out running around for a friend of mine that I mentioned to you earlier. And so I decided to stop by and say hi. And then I was, my aunt was there. So I said, oh, I was just talking to your daughter about doing an NFT. And my cousin expressed that a lot of artists, especially independent small artists, are sort of wary of NFTs. And there's ways in which they find them to be destructive to their mediums. And not because they're digital. A lot of these artists make beautiful digital things, my cousin included. But that it's sort of more, it seems to be more about the financial vehicle than it is about the art itself.
Right.
Which I guess makes sense. Like if you really love architecture, it probably gets on your nerves that other factors like school districts affect building value so much, right?
Right.
If you just really love beautiful homes and properties, it's probably annoying to you that the school district has such an effect on the price of that property. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of artists right now are frustrated that, there's this fucking finance bro trend where now they're trying to grow their investment in their new financial toy with, what they're saying is a valuable art form. But when I'm selling something on Etsy, they don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's part of the vibe. And so that's something I want to be open to and have that conversation about. If you know anything about NFTs and you want to fucking chip in on the show, email us at fucking jacobvweekly@gmail.com, or you can call the show. It's 314-632-6602. That's a voicemail for the show. NFTs. My brain hurts now. Fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I feel like I'm doing a good job of starting to understand that shit.
Yeah.
But God, it hurts my head. I feel like I was just eating a fucking concrete. Which, I don't know if that's a common term. You understand a concrete as a blended ice cream treat, right? Some people don't know what that is. Apparently, people all over the country don't necessarily do float trips like we do here.
Oh, like we do in Missouri?
Yeah, you've been on float trips, right? Where you get drunk and slide down the river, and it's usually rafts. They used to have to be canoes.
I have a wonderful experience of one of my first float trips.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So we're coming around the bend in a river.
What river?
I think it was the Hoosaw.
Okay, fine. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Hoosaw.
Hoosaw.
Hoosaw, honey. Yes, girl.
So we're coming around the bend, and I'm still pretty young. I'm with my family and stuff like that. So, it's not like adult float trip for me quite yet. But I got a glimpse into that when we come around the bend in the river. And in the distance, I start to hear the music, and it's Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
Thunderstruck!
And just...
My mom loves AC/DC. The AC/DC on a float trip, that could have been my mom.
Oh, it was great. And there's in this part of the river, just everyone decided to stop. You know how people do, and they just, set up shop, start drinking, playing that frisbee with the beer on the pole and the water game and all that stuff. But then it's the beginning of the song, and everybody stops what they're doing and just starts going, thunder! Yeah.
It's like a fucking, that's like pulling up on Bohemian Grove or some shit.
It was like,
it's like,
Mom,
what are these people doing? And they're fucking singing Thunderstruck hammered on a sandbarge.
Yeah, exactly that.
When I was a kid, people my parents' age, that was like the epitome of a good time, was a fucking float trip.
I love float trips.
Oh, we dropped a frame. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
We should be okay.
It's all right.
No, it's fine. That is a great memory. What did you eat on a float trip? We always got grocery store fried chicken.
Oh, that'd be good.
When you're fucking floating down the river and you can bite into a cold piece of fried chicken, dog. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, girl.
I feel like I've always done sandwiches. Nothing fancy, just a
good sandwich though. When you're, because that's the thing, being outside in the sun, in the water, you get hungry.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
This would be a great time for Lion's Choice. You could bring Lion's Choice on a float trip.
You could. You put that shit in your cooler.
But I've literally never contacted them. I just, for some reason, keep thinking they'll call me. I don't know what's happening.
You should just roll through the drive-thru. Tell them about.
Hey, can I get 2 king beef and Swiss And do you guys sponsor podcasts? I'm sorry, what? Do you guys sponsor I host a show. Maybe you've heard of it. I like your beef.
Like beef. Really good beef.
Why are we talking about flow trips?
I don't know. It's just like
because
Midwest
like
thing, right?
yeah, so like frozen custard is sort of a Midwestern thing. I think they have it everywhere now. And a concrete is a blended frozen custard treat with like, you know, I like like peanut butter cups or some shit. I got a fucking caramel fucking thing the other day, dog. Girl, stop.
That sounds so good.
Oh, we should probably go get ice cream. New St. Louis County mask mandate because everyone got COVID over the holidays, and apparently the governor's going to sue. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The governor apparently is really anti-mask mandate and is maintaining that they're unconstitutional. And the county is like, well, you guys were all sucking on grandma, sharing lollipops on Christmas. You all got COVID. So now you need your fucking mask on at Lion's Choice. And now the governor's mad. And so it's a real anything goes out there thing still. That's been a problem in St. Louis this whole time, is that different factions of government have different feelings about mask mandates. And so they're always in a state of flux. And people are always suing people over, like, I shouldn't have to wear a mask at Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A.
I don't even mind the masks.
I don't mind it. I wear them to be polite. Sometimes if I see the employees aren't wearing them, I'm okay with taking them off. But some, like at 7-Eleven today, I went to cash in some scratchers tickets because that's my job now. And and they weren't wearing them, but they were behind plexiglass. I just kept mine on just to be polite. Even if I'm the only one wearing it, it's not because I'm a libtard and I don't tell other people they have to wear them. I'm not going to get in somebody's face, but I wear it just to be polite, just to make sure that I'm not the one making somebody uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it too. It's just, you know, try to be polite.
But
whatever.
apparently people are not as nuanced on the issue as us, Barry.
I don't know.
National Enquirer. Now, when I was a kid, you would stand in line at Venture or Target or wherever, and while you were waiting to check out your groceries, they had these fucking dog shit magazines full of nothing but gossip. And I was standing in line at Walgreens the other day, and I was like, I didn't even know they still made these. Because it's like TMZ. It's like online now. Right? So I didn't even think people needed the thing. So I was like, well, I'm not buying that. But it was only like $4. So I said, okay, you know what? For the podcast, let's see what's going on in the fake news. This is fake news before we had fake news. We also used to have the Weekly World News, which was black and white. And it was mostly like this thing up here. Caught on camera, Air Force pilot tangles with 9 UFOs.
What?
We'll read that one today. Reality pervs prison hell. Josh Duggar marked for death.
Oh no.
See for yourself inside. Is Pat Sajak losing his marbles? And then the reason I bought it was this cover story here. Frantic final push to save the monarchy. Dying queen's deathbed decrees.
What the fuck?
Charles forced to retire. William wins the throne. Harry and Meghan banned. And Andrew scores big payday.
Betty White cheats our husband.
R.I.P. to Betty White. And thank you for being a friend. So I wanted to just kind of see what's going on in the world of fake news.
Is that all that is?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's always like a source close to the family says, and half the time it's not even real. And they find like the worst pictures of people that they own. And
why are trees being killed?
It's gossip.
For that.
It's a gossip rag. People buy this shit. I'm probably part of the problem right now.
Yeah, you did.
Let's look at this. Explosive. Oh, hold on. Dying queen lays down the law. Explosive edicts handcuff Charles, Mary, and Meghan to save monarchy. As dying Queen Elizabeth confronted her final days, the determined 95-year-old monarch issued explosive royal decrees to save the monarchy, settle old scores, and shape the future to her own liking.
Nice.
And it just says,
and
palace employees told the National Enquirer. I mean, it doesn't legitimize any of its claims. It just kind of vaguely says, somebody told us. And she's not dead, right? I mean, that's the thing. I didn't even know she was sick. And they're acting like she's dying. She's probably not even actually dying. I didn't know she was 95, though. I mean, you're not dying at 95.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing at 95.
Oh, let's see. Her Majesty isn't certain her family is up to the job of guiding Britain for the next 100 years, a high-ranking royal aide said. She's not convinced her heirs have the will, skill, or character to do it right, so the Queen's bound them in shackles that will survive long after she goes to the grave.
Oh.
She's been through a series of troubling health crises this month. She summoned her ranking members of the firm and blood relatives for a no-nonsense summit at Sandringham, according to royal insiders. During the meeting, the Queen unloaded on them all, a source said, issuing a list of shocking decrees that include her son, Prince Charles, now 73, will rule only until his 80th birthday. And he'll be forced to then give the crown to his own son, Prince William, and his wife, Kate, which is good news for them, something we've always conjectured about. Charles' hated spouse, Camilla, will never be crowned queen as a result of her disgraceful behavior as the Prince of Wales' married mistress.
What?
Royal renegades, Prince Harry, wife Meghan, and their children are stripped of all royal titles and banished forever.
What?
These are even like listed in bullet points here. I love this.
Banished forever.
Her Majesty is furious. The Sussexes have used their kids as pawns in their revenge crusade against the royal family. Blah, blah. I mean, they killed his mother. Can you blame him?
Ooh. I mean, yeah. I don't know anything about the royal family.
Me neither. I don't really give a shit.
I don't either.
Where's the thing about the UFOs?
Yeah.
Here we go. UFO squadron caught on camera. Barry.
Yes.
We got the proof we need right here.
There it is.
Oh, I found a guy we need to talk to, by the way, if he's still alive. Give me a minute.
Oh, let's go. I'm really good at finding people on the internet.
Oh, that's a skill I need. My buddy Jeff is really good at that, but he's sort of living off the grid right now, so he's hard to get a hold of.
I actually took a class in college, and one of our assignments is we got paired with like a partner, and we were just supposed to dig up as much like stuff on the other as much as we can and then present it. Which is kind of messed up.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
A gusty U.S. military pilot came eyeball to eyeball with a squadron of UFOs in the latest extraterrestrial encounter to baffle Pentagon scientists.
Oh.
Shocking video, which is not in the magazine, because it's a magazine. This is why we don't do magazines. There's not even any video.
Oh, you know about the aliens? So NASA supposedly, or maybe no, I did read it. They hired 24 priests, but of like different faiths, to offer guidance
on how the public will react
to extraterrestrials.
I saw that. I didn't realize they were all faith-based people, but I saw that number. And
Yeah.
saw that project was happening, which is great. I mean, you got to let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, well, I think they must be pretty confident about what the information and data that we'll gather from the new James Webb Space Telescope. Which, launch was good. They've been making their steady steps towards, being able to take steady stepping, opening up them solar wings and all that other cool stuff and junk. Now, get me some pictures of some aliens.
There's a guy I heard about that apparently he was telling a friend of mine that he lived in this shit town in New Hampshire because the government put him there because he knows too much. And so he's not allowed to live, I guess, somewhere where people would listen to him. And he was saying that if you want to achieve hyperspeed, all you need is the engine out of a MiG-15 and a Sasquatch.
And a Sasquatch.
And then I watched that Lex Friedman podcast with the guy, the Navy pilot who encountered the Tic Tac.
Oh yeah, that
got deep on that.
Yeah, I was watching some stuff about that the other day.
And that was very interesting.
Well, I mean, and that's all documented and stuff too.
Yeah, the video's been out for years. I mean, that was like 2008 that happened.
Well, right, and it's very like it was very much so. Just.
And it wasn't like here and gone. It was like they followed it for a long time.
Oh, yeah, it's just like, what is that? And if it's not extraterrestrials, then are they terrestrials? Which would be even weirder. There's that. I don't know. you know how we talk about like the ancient civilizations and stuff. It's like, what if some of them survived and they're the Greys, you know?
Oh, what if it's an advanced subsect of humanity?
Yeah, it's like it's the Atlanteans or something, you know?
I love that.
You know, like there's all these mysterious points on the grid, like the what's the Bermuda Triangle and stuff like
Sure.
that. Things always disappearing. I don't know. Some of these objects are said to like just go straight into the ocean.
Right.
I mean, we don't really know all
That's
that much
interesting.
about the oceans. What
That's
if they,
the thing. I mean, we need to figure out the ocean. Get some of the trash out of there and find me some of them secrets, girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Who's with me?
I'm with you. Find me Godzilla.
Oh, no.
Yeah, maybe don't disturb Godzilla.
Yeah, let him down there. Let him be him.
Yeah.
Let him do his thing.
Unless Thanos be like coming over here, I think Godzilla would help us out.
Against Thanos?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Godzilla versus Thanos. That sounds like a cheap arcade game.
Yeah. I'm okay with that as long as Godzilla.
Do you remember the
wins.
old like X-Men arcade game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a jam.
Yeah.
It was a lot like the Simpsons arcade game.
Oh yeah, I played that too.
They have that at Up Down.
Of course they do. They have some good stuff.
They
over
have
there.
this like
yeah.
four by like Pac-Man thing, like a Pac-Man battle royale where you play like 4 people
What?
and you sit around it. It's a lot of fun.
You know, I miss all the like the light gun kind of games, like House
Time
of the Dead,
Crisis.
Time Crisis.
Time Crisis was the jam. I dumped so much money into Time Crisis at Ronnie's movie theaters arcade,
Oh,
which is so
same.
funny. I have a story about them.
I love the Ronnies.
The theater chain that owns Ronnie sells the rest of the plaza. So they are maintaining ownership over Marcus Theaters, who bought Ronnie's a number of years ago.
Nice.
It used to be Warenberg when I was a kid.
Right, same.
And so they sold a bunch of that plaza, a bunch of the space in that like mall. It's like an open air mall, like a shopping center type place.
Right.
Apparently, they're keeping the theater at least for now, but they sold off all the spaces they own around it. I wonder what that means for the Waffle House over there.
Oh yeah. Well, I hope that theater stays. I love that theater.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen countless movies there.
Oh, same. I skipped school in high school 2 years in a row to go watch like the Hobbit movies when the next one was coming out. So the first year they did it, they played the first one, and then the second one was the new one, and then the year after they played all 3 in a row.
Yeah, I went to Saw Fest when like Saw 5 or 7 came out, where we watched all of them all afternoon and evening, and then at midnight watched the brand new one.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
I love that stuff.
I saw they did the Hateful Eight in 70 millimeter there.
Oh, nice.
I saw that. I dropped my wife off at the airport to go out of town somewhere, and then went there by myself to eat. I probably had 3 buckets of popcorn.
Oh, that's awesome.
You get the big one with the free refills.
Oh, yeah. 70 million.
Time Crisis, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's the I used to play that there. We get to a movie like 2 hours early, so we could hang out in the arcade.
Oh, yeah.
And shit. And
I think that one used to also have the it might still have it. It's like a roller coaster simulator thing that like spins and shit.
the one I love they had in there it was kind of like Time Crisis. It was the shooting Jurassic Park, though.
Oh, dude.
And you get into the big thing that looked like the Jurassic Park Jeep, and you close the curtain.
Yeah.
That game was hard and expensive.
Yes, it was. It was really fun, though.
And then at Chuck E. Cheese, when I was a kid, they had the Star Wars thing like that, where you sit in a big chair and you have the thing, and you'd like fly around Hoth, and
that's awesome.
yeah, those were the days. And I think the reason why games like that and Guitar Hero and stuff haven't continued to grow with games is I think the extra accessories are kind of prohibitive.
Yeah.
People really like not having to have extra stuff. And I think those really raise costs, and it's hard to keep the quality where it needs to be.
It really is, yeah.
Like supply chain right now, no one's thinking about let's do Guitar Hero again.
No. I think our Guitar Hero was awesome for its time, but like, I mean, I don't want to own like those drums or the guitars anymore. Where am I going to put them? I have like real guitars and shit.
Exactly.
Guitar Hero 2 and Guitar Hero 3, though, those were probably like...
I think I played 3 a lot.
I played 3 quite a bit.
What was on 3?
Like Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Through the Fire and the Flames. One was on there.
But Metallica.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Trogdor.
Yeah.
Trogdor. That was one of the hidden tracks.
Yeah, I quit playing guitar for 6 months. Was just playing Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah. Dang, now that we've been talking about it.
I probably got one up there somewhere.
I think I've got one at my parents' house.
I have a whole gaming museum in my goth loft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cold up there right now though. I have to put my coat on to go look for Guitar Hero. Oh yeah. You wanna whisper?
Yeah.
We could whisper a whole bunch.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever play the original Doom game?
Oh yeah. OG Doom.
Yeah, dude. I have it. I have the red cartridge.
Oh, no way. That's super valuable.
Yeah, dude.
Isn't it?
I'm sure it is.
The gold Ocarina of Time was one that was that was a jam. I have the yellow Donkey Kong. I got a blue James Bond game. I think it was The World Is Not Enough.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a hard game to figure out what you're supposed to do. It wasn't as fluid as GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. You know the pause
I think
theme for that?
I think what was the one in between GoldenEye and The World Is Not Enough? Is it Tomorrow?
I can't remember.
Tomorrow something. The other Pierce Brosnan one.
Yeah.
Something Tomorrow. And that game was third person. It was dog shit. It's I'm not playing this game. I don't want to see James Bond. I want to be James Bond. That's the thing I like about Super People. That's that new BR in the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
And you could choose between third and first person.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I think there is an advantage to the third when you're doing mouse and keyboard. I think it flows a little better. But I'm still so used to the controller for a first-person shooter, so I prefer first-person mode, but I don't know.
So why is the Battle Royale form of a game
I think
so
it's
huge
one,
now?
because it's free.
Okay.
Because, everything that you can pay up to get is not a in-game sort of advantage, how it might be in Call of Duty. When you play Call of Duty multiplayer online, people can upgrade their guns and get better attachments and better things, right. And you're always getting noob tubed by the guy with the diamond skins on all of his shit. And the BR is more open and free as far as the competitive advantage. And it's a game format that kind of was born out of this intellectual property disagreement between PUBG and Fortnite. And those two were sort of popularizing that format at the time. And so it's sort of an open source kind of a format where it's not like jumping from Halo to Call of Duty to Destiny. That's kind of those are bigger jumps as far as the mechanics go. Whereas a BR is if you're good at one BR, you can get good at another one really easily. And a lot of streamers, a lot of professional gamers go from one to the other. They'll play COD because they're supposed to for their fan base because it's such a popular game, but then they'll get sick of it and they'll play Apex Legends for a couple weeks, and there's not this massive detriment to their skill level, right? You're going to parachute in, you got to loot up, you got to, how you got to rotate. It's sort of crazy how similar they all are. In that, they all have the shrinking zone and things like that.
I've just not really gotten super into one yet.
I'm way into Apex Legends still.
Yeah.
I haven't been streaming it enough, but that was my thing. I got back into gaming during COVID because I really couldn't play music, and we've talked about this on this show before. But if I never started playing music, I would have probably been constantly a really avid gamer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Throughout my young adulthood, but I took a massive break because I was spending all my extra money on guitar pedals and recording equipment and microphones and guitar cables and strings, and I always wanted to get better amps, and then I got to the point where I was working full time and I was just throwing all my money at gear, and so I could kind of start gaming again. Really with COVID, it was I can't go play music, it's unsafe. So I was really gaming a lot, and Apex Legends is just my favorite. I just like the mechanics, and it's not as much wait time in between matches as it is in some of these. Like Super People and COD are really it's a long. If you get killed, it's a long time until you're back in again. Whereas Apex makes it really easy, and it's owned by EA, so it's got the budget to sort of stay patched up, and it's pretty good right now.
Oh, cool. I've just always been more into like single player experiences, I guess.
That's the thing, is like I really lose myself in open world games. Like I did Cyberpunk during COVID.
Yeah.
It came out in July, I think. So I took a break from Apex and was doing Cyberpunk for several months, because you would explore the whole space and build out all of your, characteristics and whatnot, and get all the guns and the cars, and GTA was sort of a big thing. It's like really losing yourself in an open world thing for several months at a time.
Oh yeah, I played quite a bit of GTA 5.
We both have cats right now.
Yeah.
I think I got King over here. You got Colonel Hans Landa.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, he's handsome. And so I think that's kind of the thing too. But I think part of the problem with that is, like, I think the BR things make a lot of money, and they're really competitive, and really they have just a different financial structure.
Yeah.
And like Pokemon Go, I still play Pokemon Go every day. I played it on the way here. And that game makes millions of dollars a year still. People dumping in money for raid passes and incubators and whatnot. And I think BRs are like that too. It's like, well, I mean, I could sell you one Zelda game, and then a year later I could sell you $30 worth of DLC, or I can give you a game that you're going to ooze money into every few weeks. You know what I mean?
Right.
With battle passes and whatnot. And but all the stuff you get from battle passes and the stuff that you buy with those materials, it's all cosmetic.
Right.
You're not buying better weapons. You're not getting better weapon upgrades than anybody else.
I don't know. I wonder if this shift in focus in the gaming industry is like taking away from other things. Like, I don't know.
Like the war on drugs?
No. It's like, oh, I don't know. Like the Elder Scrolls, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so Bethesda, they used to be pretty solid. Like 5 or 6 years, you get another Elder Scrolls game. Now it's been over 10 years since the last Elder Scrolls game, and they've just kept profiting off the same one. And since then, they've made this shift in their games. Like they did Elder Scrolls Online, they did Fallout 76, and tried doing like multiplayer, and for games that, in my opinion, have no business even touching that space. Like it's not appropriate. It's just like those games were made to be like these immersive single player experiences.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of I think Halo, the newest Halo Infinite, is trying to play both sides of that line.
Yeah.
And that like the online, I don't think it's a BR. I think it's a multiplayer deathmatch type thing. I'm not sure, but that's free. But then you can buy the single player campaign mode.
Right.
That's really immersive and very cinematic. And we used to spend more time on the single player things, just collectively as a populace of gamers.
Yeah.
Because the online stuff wasn't as readily available. It wasn't as fluid.
Right.
And but like Red Dead Redemption 2 or the first Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
So like I got to like
game.
99% completion on that thing. Like I was really scouring. I killed all the fucking buffalo. I was collecting all the beaver pelts and shit. You know what I mean? Finding all the Easter eggs. Like in GTA 3, you had the hidden packages. You know what I mean? So even if you beat everything, you had to scour the map to look for just these little collectibles, right? And things like that. That like I just don't do. I'm still in the middle of Days Gone right now, which is a zombie open world thing. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot.
I haven't played that yet, but it looks sick.
But it's also hard for me to get into late at night down here by myself with my headphones on. I don't want to be sneaking around in the dark looking for zombies, because then I feel like I got one coming up on me.
That's how you got to do it. With
then
those
a cat will
games.
jump up on my lap and I'll be like, ah!
Dude, yeah. Like when I was playing Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Recently, like
what was the one I played where you're the blonde guy again and you're in like the
Resident Evil 4?
4, yeah.
Probably, or was this an older game?
It wasn't super recent. It was probably 4.
Resident Evil 4 is, yeah, it came out in like, early 2000s or something, probably 04, something like that. And I think they're gonna remake it though, the same way that
They did another one with that guy.
They did Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
With him. And those remakes are really awesome. But it's weird how those are like that third person over the shoulder.
But for those games, it makes sense. Like on PlayStation 1, I had Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
Which was very much like that. It was sort of a blend of an RPG and sort of a zombie slasher.
Yeah.
And it fits those games, I think.
But then the other...
And like The Last of Us is like that. Days Gone is like that.
But then the other Resident Evil games that have come out, like Biohazard 7 and then RE Village, which are still like canon to the universe, but they're first person. Like still like similar things to the other games, you know, like in themes and characters and blah blah blah. But I don't know what made them do that. It was cool because it was after a playable trailer came out, and then tragically that rendition of Silent Hill was canceled, where Norman Reedus was going to be the character model.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, and then
he went on to do Death Stranding.
Right, and then it looks like Biohazard 7 kind of became that first-person horror genre thing that came out instead, even though different studio and whatever. I'd like to see more of the Silent Hill games, though. Those are very...
Yeah, I remember reading something about why we haven't seen more of those, and no, I think it would be good.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool for them to re-explore the original stories, even like getting a remake of the original Silent Hill and going from there. It's just that they started making these games that were Silent Hill as the title, but it's like really it's like they just slapped the title on there.
That's one thing I wanted to talk about today was the future. You know, last couple of times I've seen you, we've been talking about ancient history and, you know, the current state of secrecy and with different issues. Like we mentioned the Sasquatches and the UFOs and the Atlanteans.
Oh, yeah.
And whatnot, and ancient Egypt and, you know, the Younger Dryas. But, you know, I thought maybe it's a good time for us to start talking about the future.
Oh.
You know, we're talking about NFTs. And how people are trying to revolutionize the art space and the financial infrastructure of the world. And then, you know, we're talking about gaming and kind of where that's going. A lot of people are starting to get the VR headsets. A lot of Oculuses went out for Christmas this year.
You know, I've been watching Westworld.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I've been thinking a lot about like the future and maybe what that might look like if we keep going in certain directions. I think that robots are going to be weird. I think that artificial intelligence is going to be
But
weird.
Adding robots to the physical space is less what I see concern about compared to how technology is removing us from the physical space.
Right.
More and more. You know what I mean? With COVID dove way into digital entertainment and delivery of all their goods and services, and more so than they had already. And so it's kind of forcing along, you know, now we have the metaverse, and a big part of the conversation with NFTs is how people are also dumping tons of money into digital real estate. Like if you're a celebrity and you have a space in the Sandbox digital landscape, for example, you can sell real estate in your digital interaction space, in your, you know, metaverse type of thing. Some guy paid $300,000 to live next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse.
What?
Yeah, that's a real story. And so less about adding technology. Like I got robots all over my house. I got Alexas and Roombas and things, and they have very specific jobs. And did you see the story about the Alexa told the girl to put the penny in the socket?
Yeah. What the hell?
Apparently this girl had been talking to her Alexa all day and saying, "Alexa, I would like to do another challenge." And Alexa would find things on the internet that were labeled as challenges for this girl to do. It's like, it probably started off easy, like, pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time. Can we do that?
Yes.
Great. And so over time, she wore Alexa down, and Alexa saw this thing called the penny socket challenge, where you take a fucking penny, put it in an electrical socket, and twist it. I did this to a lamp with a skeleton key when I was a kid and burnt it up. And so the mom intervenes, as one would. And apparently that's the story, is that Alexa was running out of challenges and just saw something that was labeled as a challenge, and there was nothing to flag the Alexa and say, don't tell that baby to do that. And so that what happened. So that's one of those things that, like, you know, when robots get a little too blended into our lives, you know, there's things we got to worry about. There's things that the AI doesn't always know to protect us from. But more so, I see people abandoning aspects of the physical world, like other streamers, for example. I notice a lot of them live in apartments where they can have all their food delivered, and there's a gym upstairs and a pool and a sauna. And so they're not really interested in living in a neighborhood and having out of the home experiences, especially since COVID. And I get it.
Yeah. Well,
but also, like, I'm at this point where, you know, I'm trying to re-enter the workforce in a full-time capacity, much to my chagrin. And I don't necessarily want to buy into being in a wage slave mentality in my relationship with whoever my next employer is. I'd really rather take on a little bit more of the risk and the responsibility and have a little bit less micromanagement and control over my daily experience from a third party. You know what I mean?
Heard.
And you got to think that I still am a really socially liberal guy, but I used to really think that, okay, we need to structure government in a way that guarantees people a quality, dignified existence. But here's the thing. They're never going to give us all financial independence. You know what I mean? They're not going to give us fuck you money.
Right.
You know, the establishment's never going to give us the means to be in control of our own liberty. And so when you look at, okay, so is government the answer? Is government not the answer? There are things we want to add to government to protect certain people that have been, you know, disenfranchised or undervalued or whatever, but they're never going to give us enough to be truly free on our own without our own hustle, cranking out some of that freedom, cranking out the resources to make some of those choices. And then you look at that at the same time as very, very powerful people who are very anti us taking any of their resources to contribute to society. They'd rather build rockets and go to space. They're also building spaces where we're like, hey, what do you mean money? What do you need money for? Put this headset on, pay the rent, fucking shit in a bucket, and live in the metaverse next to Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? So I'm wary about, and imagine, and this is a conversation that we have to have, and it's unpleasant, and there's words that I don't like to use on the podcast that I have to use, but think about, you're a little bit younger than me, so you probably have some insight on this, and I don't want to get overly personal here, but when I was like in junior high and, you know, coming out of puberty and sort of developing into a young adult, there was very little pornography on the internet that was like it is now. Now you can watch high quality hardcore pornography for free on your phone anywhere you go. And if I had that when I was in 6th or 7th grade, I may have had to develop some boundaries with that technology because it may not have been good for my brain.
I don't think it is good for people's
But
brains.
what about the fucking VR pornography that you know is already being developed, and now all these kids are getting Oculus headsets for Christmas? What the fuck would that do to your brain, Barry? If you were 12 years old and you had fucking high definition virtual reality pornography in your brand new $900 toy that you just got for Christmas, are you going to read the book that Mr. V just told you to go home and finish reading? Or are you going to strap into the metaverse next to Snoop Dogg and watch some fucking hardcore, high quality 4K fucking nasty?
I mean, I think that most people probably go with the nasty.
That's what I'm saying, dog. And it makes me worried. Like when I was teaching junior high, I was thinking, my God, how can I compete not just with the pornography, but even if it's just the gaming we were talking about. How can I say, listen, guys, we really have to care about how the caged bird sings?
Dude,
and then because they're trying to hide their phone in their book to play Fortnite in class with me. So what are they left alone to do at home? If that's their impulse, that, oh, I can take my phone and I can hide it in this book while we're reading out loud together in class, and I can be playing Fortnite on my phone, which happened all the time. What about when they're in their bedroom and they're alone and they're supposed to be doing their homework, or just not bothering their parents, because that's probably the only expectation? I mean, I'd be on another planet in my technology. And so I just worry about...
People need to get back to the earth.
We need to get back to Christ, brother.
Jesus.
You know, wouldn't that be funny if I was like that? I told my dad that today. I said, I got to let go and let God. You know what I mean? I just got to turn it over. God's going to do it. I don't know what it is yet, but he's going to do it. Can you hand me one of those Diet Cokes?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I'm like, I'm all for a decentralized financial instrument and finding a way for art to have value in that space. I'm all for gaming going as far as, we feel comfortable taking it. Oh, of course, with the technology. But I also worry because kids are some of the first people to end up with these things. Kids are aware of technology as it's emerging. It's kind of made for them because they're not stuck in some primitive experience. And the byproduct of that.
I think that it started happening when I was a kid for sure. But it's just like, it's such an escape, Everything else kind of sucks. Like when you're in the Midwest and you go to school for 8 hours and then you go home, you can't drive. If you have a computer, that's pretty much the place to go, or your Xbox, whatever. But I remember when I was
especially over the last 20 years, the technology has gotten more advanced and society has become at least publicly known to be less safe. You know what I mean? So I kind of lived on both, where there were times where I could take off on my bicycle and I could go do whatever.
Yeah.
And then there were times where, it's late, or, it's a dangerous holiday of some kind. So just stay home and we'll just invest in making home a safer, more fun, more engaging space.
But is it safe?
Well, we don't consider brain development with those things. And we don't consider the effect that those would have on a developing mind, or the consequences. And we certainly don't, we're not as a society growing as parents at the rate that our or that our kids are growing into these new mediums that are so distracting, could possibly be destructive. I'm not even saying they inherently are.
Right. I think, moderation in everything is something to be practiced, but I don't know. Overconsumption of any kind of digital media, I think, is going to be a bit much for your growing brain.
It could be any media. It could be like this too, though. If you're a guy that is spending every waking moment at the art museum, that's a little weird.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it could be anything. It could be maybe, if you spend too much time on any one thing to the point that it starts to conflict with the rest of your life, that could be a problem.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
And that could be heroin. That could be Fox Racing.
Or it could be VR porn.
It could be high definition VR pornography.
I think that stuff's going to get really weird.
I'm listening.
Oh, yeah. No, there's I don't know, because I've been watching Westworld, I just keep thinking all right, people go to this theme park and they do whatever. They kill people and they rape people, and I don't know. It seems like that's kind of where VR is going. It's like
have all the freedom you want in the digital space, and then you're distracted from any of the real world challenges or things you should be engaging with socially or politically or whatever.
But is that the way that should be handled?
Right, exactly. Just because you can create a space where you can live out all your evil fantasies and you're not actually hurting anyone, is that healthy?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I would say no. Also, What if AI becomes sentient?
Well, and then that's the, I mean, if you want to go that far down, I mean, the rabbit hole on this, that's kind of the next thing is like, at what point do the robots start leading us more into that technology? So, and I just say the robots colloquially, you know, I mean, Skynet, so that we, you know, are more submissive.
Right.
I can't believe that's already an hour.
Submit to the robots.
Guys, that's another episode of Jacob V Weekly. High five. We're going to keep this going next time I see Barry. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google, whatever. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share. We have an Instagram page for the show at Jacob V Weekly where you can post, we post exclusive content and now clips and highlights from previous episodes. I mentioned before, you can contact the show at jacobvweekly@gmail.com. You can find original music by Jacob V, No Antics, Blinded by Stereo, and Ground Control on all of your streaming platforms. Jacob V's favorite songs on Spotify, patreon.com/Jacob V. We did it. Be safe.